even before all that began, what were you doing before those companies?
Before 360, man. I mean, wait, hold on, one more question. So, is it going to be video also, like shown, or do I? Because I
Yeah, we
don't.
might release the video sometime later. We're going to probably release a recording because it's just going to be a little bit easier to listen to on the go. So the
Yeah.
video might be released at some time.
Okay, okay. I'm just asking so I'm not sitting here with my pants off or anything.
No, you're kind of blurry, but you look fine.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I'll keep it in mind. All right, man. So I'm ready to go then. On the on your question, what was I doing
Yeah,
before?
like what were you involved in before 360 Forge? How did you like kind of get involved with the car industry and all that stuff?
Well, I mean, I've just had a lot of interest in anything related to cars since I was a little kid, and so it was just kind of a natural thing. And I didn't I didn't end up finishing high school, and so after I finished after I finished with that, I was obviously a teenager, and I was bouncing around a little bit. I worked at a few different car shops, just kind of shop do boy, cleaning up oil off the floor and taking out the trash and stuff like that. But I've always had a lot of interest in this, and also in running my own business, whatever that may be. So, I mean, right before 360, I mean, at the same time, I've always had a lot of interest in not necessarily art, but graphic design and that type of stuff. And so, in sometime around 98, 99, in that ballpark, started getting into graphic design. So that was kind of a different business, but I did a lot of automotive related stuff. So right before 360, that business was actually doing pretty well for me, and actually had a little retail kind of printing, graphic design sort of location here in Miami. And I sold the business. At that point, everybody was doing real well with real estate and everything else. This is like 2004, 2005, and then I started 360, which it wasn't anything that was really new to me, just because I've been in this kind of stuff since I was a teenager for the most part. So yeah, that's how it started. That's how it started, and that's what I was doing before then.
Okay, so you had a design background, I guess, and kind of maybe marketing related too, and you were doing stuff automotive related, and it kind of transcended into 360 Forge.
I mean, if you really want to get into it, get detailed, what happened was in '98, I invented this product. It's called the FMIS, the front mount intake system. And it's because I was real into like Honda drag racing and stuff like that back then. And anyways, so I started this little business out of a little tiny office, and I was making these front mount intakes with mandrel bent aluminum piping that was made by a muffler shop, and a little welded up box with the K&N filter in the front, and it mounted up like a front mount intercooler. So that was my thing back then, and I had this big issue with another company who ended up making the product, and I wasn't able to sell it anymore or make it. And either way, I was too young and I didn't really know any better at the time. So when that happened, I said, forget it, I'm getting out of this business. And that's when I started doing graphic design stuff.
Okay.
Just something else that I was really interested in. And so that's kind of how that all started.
Yeah, I have remember seeing those front mount intakes before. I think in magazine ads, they're like basically like a fake intercooler, pretty much, right?
I call it a real intake system.
I mean,
yeah,
fair
yeah,
works.
it was like that, yeah. Because I didn't even have a car actually, but let alone a car with with any kind of a front mount anything. So to me, it was really cool because that look was so popular back then, and it was Turbo Magazine and Super Street and all that stuff was like everything. And I was like, man, dude, I just love that look. No bumper and a front mount hanging out, and but not everybody's got turbo, and that's why I did it, and it was pretty popular for a little bit.
So why did you do wheels next? I mean, wheels feels like 364 just started when, like in '07 maybe, '06?
Yeah, right around there. I think it was very late '06.
And it was, I mean, it's always competitive, right? You always have the big players. I won't name any names, but it's pretty obvious who's pretty big in the industry. So what made you feel like you could compete? What kind of made you want to jump into this whole competitive industry of wheel manufacturing, wheel design?
Well, back then, I mean, I was 26 years old. Didn't have any kids or anything yet, and I don't really think that I knew, to be honest, at all. To me, it was probably the same mentality that most people have when they get into the business, which is, or when they get into any business, which is, a real ambitious, maybe overconfident, a little bit naive attitude. And so I really didn't think about that or care at all. And if you remember back then, I actually launched 360 with the carbon fiber overlay on top of the forged center disc on the three-piece wheel. So it was something different. It was a little bit of a niche that other companies, even though, they're big companies and they've been around for a while, it was something that they didn't offer, and it was pretty difficult to be able to produce it. So it was something cool. Yeah, I did a little bit of research beforehand and kind of tested the waters. I had a car at the time that was nice, and I was on the forums and stuff like that. So I kind of tested it out a little bit to see what people thought first, and so I guess I felt confident enough to do it. But I had no idea what was really involved or anything until years later. Probably till 2009ish before I really started to understand. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty competitive, like I said. So obviously you're pretty young when you started 360 Forge. Like I guess to most people, they don't know what goes in starting a wheel company, and we do see companies pop up left and right nowadays.
Yeah.
A lot of it's hit or miss. Some are successful, some are just fly by night. So how did you, at age 26, launch a wheel company?
Well, it wasn't successful. So, this type of industry, and I'm sure that, like any other business, I don't know, launching the business, getting it started, and
What about the funding for this?
it doesn't take much money to start this company. I mean, ADV1, we really very, very, very much started this company with $0. I mean, zero, like, I don't know, zero. And, I mean, it doesn't take any money to start. To me, this business, or even most businesses, as long as you've got enough drive and ambition, or as much, of a need to do it, you'll find a way to make it happen. And that's kind of, I feel very secure with that, because it doesn't really matter how much money anybody comes in with in this type of business, because, it just, in some cases, it could mean that much longer that they'll kind of last. But there's so much more to it than the wheel styles and marketing. It's everything behind that. And then once you actually start selling, is when it really gets difficult, when you have to start managing production and dealing with bottlenecks and growth and everything else. It's such a difficult thing. So, I see it all the time. It looks like it's all fun and pretty cars and pretty models and that kind of stuff, but it's not.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to give you a chance to clear the air, because, 360 Forge did grow really fast, and it didn't turn out the way you wanted. So what was the reason for it growing so fast? I mean, to me personally, from my perspective, I was pretty heavily on the forums, and I could see you guys pretty much set the standard for like photography and having like unique offsets and sizes for really high-end vehicles, and I felt like that kind of set you guys apart. But from your end, what do you think made you guys grow really fast? Maybe grow too fast?
Well, I mean, looking back at it now, it was such a grain of sand, in the big picture. To me, it didn't really grow fast, but I think it looked much bigger than it actually was. And the reason for that was because somebody new got into this business with, an eye for design and some knowledge in that type of thing, photography and design and marketing and all that. And I think that was the difference, because you had a saturated market with a lot of the same thing, almost like a template. everything kind of looked the same, and there was nothing different. And so I don't know. I guess that was what made it.